Hey guys, welcome back. I am Alexa with Strategic Placement Group. Welcome to our SPG podcast. I am here with our funny man, Chad. I'm sure you have seen him in several of our YouTube videos. This is the man that could not move Yoda. If you have not seen that, check it out on our YouTube page. This is my business partner and good friend, along with my husband, Stan, who is also a business partner and my best friend. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm excited to be with you guys today. We are going to talk about media placement, good places to market your business. I know in the 2-minute video we did, the little short we did on our YouTube channel, we were talking about even the phone book is evolving. So let's just jump right into that. And is there a benefit in still, as a small business owner, marketing in things like the phone book, in the newspaper? What do you guys think about that? Give me your thoughts.
Well, I think like everything else, it all comes down to your age and what type or what age of person you're trying to market to.
Yeah. So would you put yourself in that demographic, Chad? Do you use the phone book?
As a doorstop.
Do you?
Yes, or if I can't reach something, I'll stand
on it. Yeah.
So, yeah. I like that. I use it for my kids sometimes. Yeah, as a booster seat. Very, very good. Nice. What
Fire
do you
starter.
think? That's a good one.
There are still practical uses for items such as the phone book, based on the demographic. Like Chad said, the age. If you're trying to target those 60, 65 and up, then yes, you still need to be there if you're a service-oriented business. But I think part of what you said in that video, the short that you mentioned,
yes, right,
was if the phone book is evolving.
I did say that. If it's evolving, why aren't you evolving?
I think that's the question we need to ask today.
I think that's an excellent question to ask, because if you are evolving out of the phone book, where do you go? So what are we telling people that they should go to instead of using print media like the newspaper and the phone book?
For us, we've been over the last couple of years reallocating dollars that clients have budgeted for the phone book and billboards and newspapers as well, and putting those dollars, switching them into the digital space.
You want to be where your clients went. And if you look around, everybody you look at is
scrolling,
flipping through the phone book with their thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, that is true. I think if that's one thing, like the quarantine really taught us as a business, is that everybody's going to go straight to that mobile device, whatever it is, whether it be a laptop or a phone or a tablet. So it's really important to focus on where your audience is. Would you guys think that to be true?
Absolutely. And to add to what we see over the years, new clients that we get, one thing that we do is we try to evaluate the spend over the last 6 to 12 months of where they have spent their money. And it continues even in 2021 to surprise me and us that a large amount is still found with some businesses in the yellow pages.
Right.
We've seen some to the tune of over $10,000 a month.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a whole lot of money.
That's a lot to be.
And how that happens is you've been in business 40 years, and maybe you're even a second-generation owner of the business or third. And, what happens is over time is they add a little here and a little there, a little here, a little there. And before you know it, it's out of control.
And it also has to do with your reach. I know in our area, if you have a business in the Tri-Cities, you're also wanting to market to other communities outside of the Tri-Cities that are within driving distance. And, you're talking about Greenville and I don't know, there's probably 10 or 15 different phone books that people are wanting to advertise in so people can find them. And it just financially it gets very expensive.
Well, again, it adds up, like I said, and it gets out of control before you really step back and look. And then the problem is how do you get out of the phone book?
Right.
That's not an overnight
No,
fix.
It's not. It's not. Once it's out there, it's out there. But I really like what Chad said, too, about that, the market that you're wanting to, maybe the people that you're wanting to target aren't necessarily close, and you can go outside this market with things like digital media that you can't do with print media.
To the degree, correct.
And not to mention, too, just if you're putting something on sale or you have a message that you're wanting to get out to someone immediately, you can't do that with a phone book. It's printed once a year or once every 6 months. And the only thing you can really do is say, here I am, here's my phone number, and here's generally what we offer.
Right.
But if any of that changes or, anything is different, then, take through the pandemic, for example.
Sure.
Nobody needed to know your address because they couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. Very
So,
true.
All they really needed to know was your phone number. So that was why digital was so important, and connected TV too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's another good point. Is to add to Chad's before I get back to the digital is, if you have had for many years, if you've had a need to change your business model or a sale event coming up, newspaper and billboards were a good place to do that.
Right.
But you have a couple things going on there, a delay in getting the message out.
Right. I would agree.
It takes a couple days to get that going, sometimes more, depending if maybe the billboard you want is not available.
That is something to think about. I mean, not everybody's going to see the one halfway behind the pine tree, that not everybody can get access to that billboard that's right there in that major intersection. Sometimes your options are, way out in no man's land, and it's a teeny little space.
It is. I will say one thing, the billboards, I think they still have a generalized purpose from a directional standpoint,
Okay.
But I continue to drive down the road in any city that we're doing business in, and I see billboards just plastered with words.
Right.
There's way too much on there.
Too much.
You're trying
Yeah,
to push a
can't be
sale
read.
and a this and a that and another thing. Nobody has time to read all of that, especially when they're going 70 miles an hour down the interstate.
No, and what is it?
And texting.
And because
texting,
that's
too,
safe.
It's like, just serve them with an ad on their phone because they're looking at it anyway.
They're looking at it anyway while they're driving.
You do have a good point. But I mean, back to what you're saying about billboards, typically you have only about 2 seconds. So you really can't plaster that entire message on a billboard like you can.
And so using them for directional purposes, for example, what's coming up here in the next couple of months, 4th of July, what happens? Oh, a bunch of fireworks stores are coming up.
Right.
Yeah, it's just fine and works perfectly well to have a couple of billboards directing people.
Right.
If you're on the interstate, 2 exits up, take a right.
Well, that makes
so
sense.
and so's
I
fireworks.
love those billboards because I'm the one going, where do I go?
Yeah, but and in that example, those work very, very well, and I think it's a very viable solution for your business. But beyond that, going back to your point of digital,
Right.
In Chad's point earlier of make sure you hit your customers where they're at.
Right.
What are they doing?
Well, that is a thing now, I mean, everybody, that's one of the things that we referenced in the video is everybody's got a mobile device in their pocket purse or in their hand. Mm-hmm. I mean, just go into any doctor's office and sit down. Well, when you can go back into a doctor's office, we're almost there, and sit down and look around. What is everybody doing? We're at Taekwondo the other day, and everybody in the lobby is either, taking a second to watch their kid, and then they're right back down on their phone.
Yeah, I was there last week with the kids, and I sat in the corner and trying to watch Matthew, and I glanced over at every other parent. There was 8 parents.
Right.
All 8 of them were on their cell phone. Not a single one was looking at their own children, which
Right.
that's a whole other conversation. But the point is that no matter where they are, they're doing what Chad said. This is where they're at. They're
right.
looking at that device.
Same thing. My wife works for a doctor's office, and if you want to know the group of people that you're marketing to on a phone, everybody but there was one lady who was probably late 70s that was not on her phone, that was actually watching the television. And there was one really small child that was playing with a plastic toy, but everybody else
Head buried in it.
Yeah.
Head buried in the screen.
That's right.
But when we talk about digital, I mean, we talked a lot today so far about cell phones, mobile devices.
Right.
That's not anywhere near all of it.
Right.
Right.
There's a really large spectrum that people don't really even understand, right? When it comes to digital. Let's talk a little bit
Chad
about
mentioned earlier connected TV devices. Mm-hmm. So gaining in popularity seems like every week. And so there's a lot of opportunity
Explain what connected TV is for people that don't know.
Sure. Yeah. So
That's a good question. You should be the host.
you should be the host.
I like that.
Sorry.
No, never apologize. I will love it. It's a great question.
When you're talking about TV, you can talk about essentially two different forms: linear television or traditional television, and I will group two categories into that: broadcast TV and cable television.
Okay, right.
And we can also throw in the direct, dish options,
Sure.
ADS systems, more of a traditional basis. Then you have digital connected TV. So connected TV would be like a smart TV. Like you go buy a new, and we're not sponsored by them. We'd be nice to be, but you go buy a new Samsung. Right. Just saying,
Little
Samsung.
plug.
Throw that out there. And instantly has connectivity for you. You hook up your accounts, whether you are using a Hulu account or your Amazon Fire Stick or any number of devices or apps.
Roku, Chromecast.
All of that.
Right, Fire Stick.
Everything you can imagine that you can connect to that device to stream what you want as a connected TV. That would be using the TV as a smart TV. To break that down further, you also have OTT, over the top. And that would be a device like a Fire Stick.
Okay.
So maybe I don't have a smart TV, but I'm using a device, i.e. the Fire Stick.
So those are actually different.
It's considered a little differently in the realm of the marketing space. So I'm actually taking a physical device, plugging it into my television to utilize it. That basically turns my TV into a smart TV. Essentially, I mean,
right.
We can get into the weeds on that another video. But so you in that connected TV space, you have a tremendous amount of opportunity, whether it's for advertising. You can advertise just to the devices themselves, like the Chromecasts, the Amazons, all of that, or you can target the apps and focus on that. For example, in I think January of 19, our agency became partnered with Hulu.
Okay. Yes.
Accepted by Hulu to sell advertising space on their platform. And then some months ago, when they merged with Disney, because we already had the approval with Hulu, we were able to get grandfathered in, if you will, for the Disney applications as well.
That's right.
And so a lot of our customers really enjoy the focus directly on that Hulu platform and the Disney platform. So there's a lot to talk about in the connected TV space.
Yeah. But then let's go into, the rest of the digital space. There's things that you can do other than connected TV, right? Like there's ads that can be created to even doing some, like, can you target an audience when you're using this digital space?
Absolutely. Long conversation. We can break that down. But so if you think of ad placement in the digital realm, you have Google in one area, social media, Facebook for example, on another, and then you have everything else online, website or mobile apps that have ad space for sale.
And does that include like social media as well, or is that different conversation?
Yeah, that's the Facebook and they all have ad space. What the difference is what the ads can consist of, what the ads can say, where they get placed, and specifically how specific we want to be about who we're marketing to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's several different kinds and several different ways to go about it. That's what an agency is for. We understand that. We study it. We keep track of all of the changes that are going on and things that are coming up. And so we basically know what we're doing. We understand how the system works.
So for a small business owner, is it beneficial to try to figure this stuff out yourself? Is that even possible for them to figure something like digital media out by themselves as far as placement? Do they, we're biased because I'd like to take care of everybody. They're digital. But
I would say it's possible, but the problem that you run into is whatever the structure is today, right? So For example, knowing how to place ads in Facebook the proper way, how to target that audience. Then go over to Google and using Google Ads, whether it's the display network or the traditional AdWords campaign, or even pre-roll videos on YouTube that you get all through the Google platform. Figuring that out is fine, but then you have to figure out, how am I also going to attract the rest of, like I mentioned before, apps and sites and all that.
Right.
And even if a person was able to figure that out as it stands today, next week there's a change.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
I have
feel
two
like
webinars coming up here in an hour that I need to jump on. That's just on things that have changed since last week. It's an ever changing and evolving process. It moves much faster than anything else in history as it comes to advertising. I mean, I would relate it to what business owners, the biggest difference business owners had to face, say in the 40s and 50s, was, ooh, I can make an ad and put it on television. What's that?
Right.
Well, so they had to figure all that out. That pretty much stayed the same for a really long time.
Right. Well,
now obviously there was difference in technologies as time evolved, and ads they look better and this and that. But the basis of buying that ad space, for all intents and purposes, didn't really change for decades.
right.
And even that is changing now, how we are going to be able to buy linear television. Here, things have already changed in that scope, but they're going to become more accessible for agencies such as us as time comes on. But the point is that a business owner, can get their head wrapped around it now.
Right.
And maybe, sure, they can go ahead and start doing it. But if you just set your campaigns and forget it,
Yeah.
6 months, you're out of date.
Right. And then when does a business owner even do that? Because, I mean, in the process, they're still running their business.
Well, and that's the point
is there
right there.
benefit to...
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, once you learn all of those things that Stan just talked about, okay, now you're halfway there, because now you got to figure out, what does the ad need to look like? So what is the popular thing with how ads look? What are the popular colors and font styles? And all of that stuff is continually changing. So used to, it was neat if you could put shadows on text, and you could you wanted something that looked layered. And now if you look at advertising, everything's a little more flat and the colors are a little more muted.
Right.
And so but that's what your target audience, it's what they're going to like, it's what they're going to be used to seeing, and it's also going to make you appear to be with the times.
Sure.
So now you're up to date, and you're cool and modern, and that's important. Especially the younger generation today, they almost lend more credibility to how you look or how you appear than they do necessarily how wonderful it is that your service is, or how wonderful it is that it's all about appearance, and it's all about appearing cool.
I think you had touched on that quite a bit. I think it was last week's video with Zach.
Yes.
I think it was last week's video.
Yeah, last week we talked to Zach. We had him on talking
social
about social
media?
media.
He
Yeah.
is cool.
He is
and
cool.
modern.
He is.
And modern.
Yes.
He thinks he is.
And up
Anyway,
to
right.
date.
Yeah, well, he thinks.
He is.
But my point is that I remember when you guys were talking about that there was a big discussion on how to present yourself.
Yes.
In whether it's imagery or video. But to Chad's point, yeah, I mean it is a lot of the appearance.
Right.
And if that's one layer of it. Yeah, if you don't keep up with those trends, then how are you going to know what your target audience is after? But beyond that, from the technology change, you asked earlier, is there a way to target your audience? Absolutely.
Right.
Tons of ways, and I think we should get into those in a different webinar, because that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, basically we can target them on anything that they do or buy or see or think, or also anywhere that they are or have been.
Right.
So, I mean, it's,
in short, yeah.
I mean, we
It's kinda
barely
scary.
scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah,
on
haven't
that.
even
Yes.
just
Absolutely.
tickled it.
But
We didn't even
let's go
scratch
back
it. But
to what-
I'm sorry, my point, though, is with that, is that even if a person's able to figure that out now for their business, if they don't keep up with the changes in that technology,
Right.
just in the next 3 months, it's going to be different now than it is today. And if you don't take the time to so you spend all this time as a business owner trying to figure out, okay, how can I market this and do it myself? Great. All right, you did it. Awesome. Now, like you said earlier, you need to focus on your business.
Right.
Right? That's your specialty. That's where your expertise is. if you take a lot of time away from that so that you can keep up with the evolving changes in that digital space.
Right. What's happening to your business?
Who's running the business? Yeah, absolutely. So those are the things that make the digital marketing side of things tremendously different than trying to compare that to a traditional linear television, newspaper, billboard, phone book, all that stuff from years ago.
Right.
Again, I mentioned you may have a business that's a second generation business. Well, my dad or my mom or whoever ran the business before, my grandparent, this is how they did it, and it worked great.
Right.
Well, in 1989, I'm sure it
for
did.
them at that time. Sure.
Yeah, but
Sure. But like we said, if the yellow pages are evolving, why aren't you? I mean, it really is time to embrace that digital space. But let's go back to what you were saying a minute ago, too, about the display of it. I mean, so let's say our business owners are interested in digital media placement. They've come to us. They found their message that they want to deliver. I mean, there's a lot. It's not just placing it. It's you still have to have the creative along with that, right, Chad?
Absolutely. The creative side of it is basically delivering the message in something that's attractive, that is going to be attractive to your target market, and you want it to be cool. I mean, that's I don't know. I don't think we've ever lived in a time where that is so important, is that it has to look good.
Right.
And of course, you want to make it quick and simple, get to the point, and then wherever it is that you're sending them, because with the digital advertising, it's a little different. We got to send them somewhere when they engage with that ad. And so then that's important also. Where are we sending them? So if you're sending them to a website, for example, you want to make sure that that's cool also, because it's so easy to lose. One thing, they have such a short attention span.
Yes,
and
we've talked about that a lot in the last several videos.
Any one little thing it turns them off instantly, and so they next thing you know, they're off to something else.
I want to touch on your website though a little bit. I want you to talk about that. We believe as an agency that website is vitally important, and that's really what one of the big separators between a traditional advertising methodology and the digital space is.
Right.
Before, if you had linear television, you hope everybody saw it,
right,
and you hope that they
knew
are
where to
responding,
go.
and that they called you. But
right.
But to Chad's point here on having a landing page or website, someplace to send them to when they click that ad. It's measurable. We can talk about all that. But the important thing I want to point out for Chad to talk about here is what we believe as an agency is that ad can look a certain way. It needs to be cool. Like he said, attention span is short, so we need to grab their attention and send them someplace of value. We believe that landing page, that place, should be an extension of that ad. So
that makes sense.
So the point that talk about that a bit. Page. But you can a lot of times people will put a digital ad out and just dump people right to their homepage of their site. But that homepage had absolutely nothing to do other than the name with the ad.
So it's not just good enough to have your business website. It's not good enough to have your digital ad and then send everybody to your website.
Well, sometimes it is. It depends. If we're doing if you're doing an ad that's not really selling something specific, but it's more just, hey, here we are, we're this company, and we do this group of things.
If it's an image or an awareness piece.
An image ad, awareness ad, then sure, it's fine. Send them to your homepage. They're not going to click that ad because they're interested in a specific thing. They're going to click that ad because they're interested in you.
Right.
And then they're going to learn more about what you do. But if we're doing, let's say, for example, a sale, you got a widget for sale. Widgets.
Yes, let's go to widgets.
You got a widget
because it's
for
Waldo's
sale.
widgets.
Yep.
That's right.
And you have got a ton of them in stock, and you're wanting to get rid of them. Then you're probably going to want to have a specific page for said widget, and it's going to be big and bold. And there's going to be no question when you get there. Here's the widget. Here's the widget in 3 different angles, and here's where you click to buy it. You're going to make that quick, simple, to the point.
To the point. I love that. I love that. Just simple and to the point and clean, and it doesn't have to be just overrun with verbiage.
Right, and that's
You
just
know,
a simple landing page. It's it's not terribly expensive to build or create. It's just a simple place that says, here's why you clicked on the ad. I don't want to waste your time with anything else. You just got to get this bought and then move on to whatever it is.
And it's an extension of the ad they saw. So the colors that you're using, the graphics that you're using to get their attention in that short span in the ad is translated and just and enlarged essentially in that landing page.
And another good reason for that too is security. There is so much hacking going on and so much phishing is what they call it. And so it's easy to get lured into an ad and then you click on it to buy something and then you wind up somewhere that you really didn't mean to go and you're entering your information. So by keeping that stuff consistent and looking the same across the board, it just gives people more confidence in what it is that they're seeing.
Sure.
And then also having a secure website, the little lock button in the address bar, there's all sorts of different variables there to gain people's trust in your digital world. But yeah, it's got to be consistent, look the same logo all the way across, same colors,
Right. And then something else people can do too, if they want to expand on this sale, they can also take it from their digital onto that landing page, and then they could also do things like creating a commercial and really creating a campaign out of it. Could they not?
Oh, absolutely. So everything that you're doing
So
has
now
that
you're
same
on that connected TV that we were discussing.
or could be
linear.
back on linear TV. But yeah, and use that. Well, one thing is that vitally important that you make sure that all of your all the ads that you're running, no matter what platform you're using, they all are speaking to that same A audience and B message. So they have the same look and feel across the board. Doing that, and they'll all work together. But I guess to the audience, this isn't a recreation of a wheel. Right. So go back to that 1989 or 90s or 70s. What doesn't matter. Pick a decade before all this stuff became available. What did a business owner do? Well, they would put together a commercial, a newspaper ad, a billboard, a radio spot, what have you, that focused on a particular sale event. And if they were doing their job correctly, whatever they were talking about and getting people excited about in that ad, they would set up their showroom to be an extension of that ad. So, if I'm going to get all excited to click on something, ooh, there's a sale going on. It's a BOGO. Yay, awesome. Buy one, get one. I love it. And I get to the store, and if there's nothing in the store that talks about that sale,
ad,
like Chet said, am I in the right place?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So this is not a recreation of a wheel by any means. It's the exact same methodology and thought process that's been going on for decades, eons, in the advertising space. To keep people engaged and to move your product. You want to sell those widgets because you got a bunch of them. When you get to that showroom, it's 1992, you put the ad out there, people get there, that showroom better have banners and balloons and all kinds of stuff going on.
To emulate that sale.
Emulate that sale event that you pushed out there. This is just a digital showroom. It's your virtual showroom, that landing page, that website. That's all we're talking about. So again, we take the ad, it got them excited. Wherever they go from that excitement needs to be an extension of that.
I like that that visual too of the digital showroom. I think that's really, really cool. Do you think that a lot of people, when they talk about digital ads, are pretty much only focused on social media ads? I mean, with like Facebook and...
I think that's where... majority of that goes because people are trying to do it themselves. And the easy things are social media and Google AdWords or the Google Display Network.
And they also appear to be the least expensive. They aren't necessarily, but they're really good at making themselves look like it's the best deal going.
Yeah.
The difference there is who you can target, how detailed you can be about who you're targeting. And then, tracking, being able to see whether those ads are getting what they should be getting. You can do that, but you can't do it with the same detail that you can with digital advertising.
Yeah, so there's a difference there.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where to answer your question, I think that's where people end up with more often than not is because those are easy to figure out in comparison to the rest of it.
Right.
Again, every
And
other
there's
app
nothing
and site.
wrong
No,
with
there's nothing
advertising
wrong with
there.
that, but
it's like
you're missing out on a lot of opportunity.
Right.
Well, you
It's-
also look at the types of ads that you see on social media. You know, there's a lot of shady things going on because it's so easy to do.
Right.
You never really know. You're always kind of leery.
Yeah,
I am,
it's like the
anyway.
time that we got those, what were they, the glow in the dark boards or whatever. It was something that my mom saw on a
Right.
Facebook ad, and she clicked it, and they were all in Russian.
Oh, yeah.
Like we couldn't understand the language. Or there was like pajamas that she bought one year for Christmas. It was
Right.
all on a Facebook ad, and we didn't get them till July.
Yeah, or
You know, I mean-
Stan's Chinese toilet paper.
That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It looked so small that we could have used it for crafting.
China Post.
So yes, it was. He's thrilled that we brought
yeah,
that up.
that's one big thing about social media is the fact that anybody that has a Facebook page can do it, and you can also just go and create a Facebook page and do it. So it doesn't really necessarily have to be you. So to me, there's a lot of fraud. There's a lot of questionable activity going on there, and I'm not saying that you can't sell things, but if
Right.
it's a company that I'm not already familiar with, you know,
Right.
if it's a local company that I already know and they are showing me something on Facebook, yeah, sure, but still, it just feels different than an actual digital ad
Campaign, yeah.
Right.
on a website,
Right.
on a popular website.
Well, geez, guys, I feel like we've given everybody a lot of information to think about. I feel like we could go in so much deeper, but after a few minutes, my eyes start to glaze over. And I don't want that to happen to our audience as well, because it gets so deep. It's just like, wait, what just happened? So I'd really like to wrap this up. I want to bring you guys back so we can touch on this even further, but I really hope this has been helpful to you guys today. So remember, there is a multitude of possibilities in the digital space. Facebook and other social media is very popular, but it's not the only option you have. And if you think you'd like to venture into that option, give us a call, because we'd really love to help you with that. We hope this has been helpful to you today. I thank these guys for coming and hanging out with me back here in the SPG podcast room. We always have a good time, and please make sure to click that like button if you are joining us on our YouTube channel. As I always say, guys, until next
next
time.
time.